You may be seated. I can feel the excitement in the air this morning. There's an energy here that tells me you all know what's coming, and you're wondering how long I'm going to keep talking. But before we get to the real highlight of the service, I do have a few remarks, but I will make you a promise that I will keep this short. Because honestly, the best preaching today is not going to come from me. It's going to come from our children in just a few minutes. They're going to help us see something we desperately need to see. But first, our gospel reading. John the Baptist is in prison, confined, cut off, uncertain about his future. And from that prison cell, he sends his disciples to Jesus with a question that must have cost him dearly. They are to ask Jesus, "Are you the one who is to come, or are we to wait for another?" John had been so sure. He'd baptized Jesus, proclaimed him, pointed others to him. But now, sitting in darkness, John is asking, "Are you really the one? Is this really happening?" It's a very Advent question, don't you think? We're waiting. The world is dark. Wars rage. Violence erupts. Suffering continues. We light our Advent candles and speak of hope and peace. But sometimes it feels like we are simply waiting. Waiting for God to show up. Waiting for the kingdom to come. But in usual Jesus fashion, he doesn't answer John's question with a simple yes or no. Instead, he says, "Go and tell John what you hear and see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them." In other words, look around you, John. Be aware, it's already happening. Jesus is pointing to the prophecy from Isaiah that we heard in our first reading. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf unstopped. Then the lame shall leap like a deer, and the tongue of the speechless sing for joy. The signs are there. The kingdom is breaking through. Even while we wait, God is at work. The challenge for us, especially in Advent, especially in our troubled world, is that we can become so focused on waiting, so aware of what's wrong, so conscious of the darkness, that we miss the signs of God's presence right in front of us. But here's what Jesus reminds us. Even while we wait, God is showing us the kingdom. The invitation to joy is always present, sometimes quietly, sometimes unexpectedly. Sometimes we just need eyes to see it. In just a few minutes, the children are going to tell us about the Advent candles. Today we lit the rose-colored candle, the joy candle. Right in the middle of Advent's deep blue, this splash of color, this break in the pattern. It's the church's way of saying, yes, we are still waiting. Yes, it's still Advent, but look, can you see it? God is here. God is at work. There is joy to be found, even now. And today, we won't have to look very far for that joy. It's going to be literally front and center. Our children are going to help us understand what these Advent candles mean. They're going to make beautiful music with bells. They're going to remind us of the story we're waiting to celebrate. That's a sign of God's kingdom right there. Young voices, learning an ancient story, passing on hope from one generation to the next, making beauty and music together. So as we move through these final days of Advent, may we have eyes to see the signs of God's work already unfolding among us. Sometimes those signs are quiet, acts of kindness, steady faith, a light that keeps shining. And sometimes, like today, they are joyful and unmistakable, children's voices, ringing bells, ancient stories told anew. Wherever you are this morning, full of joy, carrying burdens, or somewhere in between, know this: the kingdom is breaking through. God is at work among us. And even in Advent, even while we wait, joy is not something we have to manufacture. It is something we are invited to receive.